You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Now get the guns, the drugs, to my generation, you'll take the fall. The stakes, across the nation, and it's a sex, the gods, the fakes, the fraud, the messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Welcome back to Reliving the War Soldier, and welcome to the 21st of February 2000. Tonight, Raw's in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, while Nitro's in Sacramento, California. The WWF is once again in WCW's backyard. Remember to check out the SuperBrawl video before continuing on here. I'm not going to lie and say the event was good or anything, but do take a look at that video so you're all caught up for this week's episode of Nitro. Later in the week, I'll be taking a look at WWF No Way Out 2000, where Triple H meets Cactus Jack inside Hell in a Cell. And if you want to see that video today, along with the next episode of Reliving the War, then check out my Patreon page. There's tons of stuff there, including videos that will never get posted on YouTube. This week's jam-up guy is Chris Kelly. Chris attended WrestleCade in North Carolina, and he got a ton of brilliant photos while wearing his Sweet Wrestling Bios merch. He met Jeff Hardy, Ann Lita, Jim Ross, Buff Bagwell, and the Great Bull Nakano. A big thanks to Chris, a big thanks to everyone who checked out the new Chinlocks.com store. Let's forget about your real life troubles for a little while as we get Reliving the War episode 224 underway. D-Generation X begin Raw this week with an in-ring promo. On Nitro, the total package has a few words for Hulk Hogan. DX arrived to Raw in the DX Express, their new tour bus. The Express was used on SmackDown to store Cactus Jack, Kane and Paul Bearer after they took a beating. The faction comes out. Stephanie laughs at the fact that their enemies were left stranded in the middle of nowhere after their trip in the DX Express. And just as Triple H was about to start ripping into the fans, The Rock comes out on the entranceway wearing an absolutely incredible shirt. The Rock says he gets a lot of pie, and I assume it's because he dresses like this right here. Finally, The Rock has come back to Atlanta. The Great Ones noticed a pattern, and yeah, I noticed this pattern too. Every week, Triple H has to come out and begin Raw with a promo, and the WWF champion always talks about the same stuff.
Tonight, I am the game, and in this very ring, for the next 20 minutes,
Is he constipated?
I'm going to be talking and saying absolutely nothing.
Even Stephanie thought this was funny. Rock maybe buying himself a ticket on the DX Express as he says Triple H sucks, but he also says this won't be another DX night. The thought of another DX night makes Rock want to throw up the people's vomit. Triple H compliments Rock's pajama shirt before calling The Rock predictable. Hunter may blabber on every week with no real direction, but at least he doesn't come out loaded with a ton of catchphrases designed to get easy laughs from the crowd. If Hunter says it's going to be a DX night, then it's going to be a DX night. And since there's 4 guys in the ring right now, The Rock doesn't really have a choice. Cactus Jack shows up. He says that DX did indeed leave him stranded on Thursday night, but that's fine because 1, Jack's hitchhiked across the country since he was 17 years old, and 2, unlike Triple H, America doesn't hate McFoley's guts. It didn't take long for a random truck driver named Big Earl to come pick Foley up, and Cactus treated Big Earl with a story about how he's gonna wreck Triple H inside Hell in a Cell later in the week. Cactus then threatens to leave the cage and he threatens to jump off it on top of Hunter, something that seems to shake Triple H up a little. And then Cactus reveals that Big Earl picked up 2 more passengers, those passengers being Kane and Paul Bearer. Cactus Jack says there's going to be a 6-man tag tonight. It's going to be Rock, Kane and Cactus versus Triple H, X-Pac and the Big Show. The babyfaces get in the ring for a brawl, and the brawl pretty much ends the moment Big Show turns up. Show swings a chair, he takes out Kane and Rock, and it all ends with Cactus taking a pedigree before DX's new updated theme music plays in the arena. Yeah, I do like this version of DX's music, and for the longest time it was unreleased. Look it up on YouTube. Are You Ready 2000. On Nitro, Mean Gene was expecting Hulk Hogan to come out to talk about his victory last night at SuperBrawl, but instead the total package comes out. Lex puts himself over before saying he would have won last night if it wasn't for Jimmy Hart getting involved, seeing as the package destroyed Hulk Hogan for a solid 15 minutes before the pinfall. The match was only 8 minutes long, by the way, but package isn't done with Hogan. Hulk won't be so lucky next time. American Made plays in the arena, and there he is, brothers, broken arm and all. Hogan doesn't want to hear Lex run his mouth. Instead, Hulk wants to fight the total package tonight live on Nitro. As a matter of fact, Hogan's already made special arrangements and there's a big old cage hanging above the ring. So tonight we're going to see a SuperBrawl rematch, Hogan vs Lex inside the cage. I will say this though, this is the best mic work Lex has done in WCW for a very long time. Ever since he became part of the Wolfpack, he kinda went into autopilot, but this Hogan feud's managed to get Luger all fired up. So good for you, Mr. Package. Keep up the great work.
Feeling kinda low, pick up the phone and dial. We have a little something to help you find your smile. Dial 811 LOLHBK. Get your hands on our merchandise, you'll fly high today. Sean Sniff Sniff Delivery Service. Super kick your face, make you feel alright. Sean Sniff Sniff Delivery Service. One little snort and you'll be high as a kite.
Chyna and Chris Jericho take on Kurt Angle and Davey Boy Smith next on Raw. On Nitro, we've got a Jeff Jarrett promo plus Kidman vs Lash LaRue. Jeff and the Harris brothers arrived at Nitro with Double J holding an elusive confidential letter. He's got that letter in his back pocket as he cuts a promo on the Nitro stage. And Jeff says he got screwed last night at SuperBrawl. The man with all the stroke should be the world champion, and so the gloves are now off. Double J means serious business. That letter, it states that if Jarrett didn't leave SuperBrawl as world champion, he would be entitled to a rematch. One-on-one, no three-way dance. Jarrett versus Sid for the world belt is going to happen, and according to Jeff, it was Kevin Nash who signed the letter. The same Kevin Nash who Double J took out with a guitar shot on Thunder last week. Double J also states he's going to unleash the Harris brothers tonight in everyone's fair game. He sends a warning to everyone in the back that Ron and Heavy D are going to raise hell. And right enough, during the first Nitro match featuring Billy Kidman and Lash LaRue, the Harris brothers interfered, resulting in a DQ finish. If this is going to happen all night, then you can consider Raw the winner of Reliving the War this week. This was great when Steve Austin did it. It was good when the Brothers of Destruction did it. It began to get a little played out when Sid Vicious interfered in everyone's matches. And now we've got it happening all over again with Ron and Dawn Harris. Speaking of Billy Kidman, he and Tori had some trouble locating the Kid Cam, Kidman's little camcorder that he uses to film his home movies. And soon enough, we see someone using the Kid Cam to film Buff Bagwell trying to get into Symphony's knickers. Symphony tells Bagwell to beat it. Buff tells her to keep this little meeting secret, seeing as Bagwell almost got caught being a dirty dog before. But Symphony told the Maestro and our ivory tickling friend Jump Bagwell in the backstage area. These two are going to meet in the ring a bit later on, so yeah, fucking whoopity-doo. Over on Raw, we've got a dream team, Kurt Angle and the British Bulldog, and Angle's returning to the place where he won his Olympic gold medal. Kurt says Chyna wants to steal his European title so she could sell it and make her bad mama jammas even more bad, you know what I mean? So Kurt enlisted a European hero to help him beat up Chyna tonight on Raw. The match got underway when Jericho attacked Kurt on the rampway, and highlights of this one included Davey falling right into a low blow, a lion salt from Jericho onto Kurt, Chyna pulling off her handspring back elbow, and Chris locking in the walls of Jericho on Davey. Unfortunately, we have no chin locks here, ladies and gents. The ref was busy with Chyna and Kurt hit Chris with his own IC Championship belt. Kurt then pulled off a modified version of his Olympic Slam and Kurt pinned Jericho to score the win. If Kurt can do this again at No Way Out later in the week, he's going to become the new Intercontinental Champion. On SmackDown this past week, the Radicals injured Rikishi when they dropped the ring steps on his ankle. Rikishi's getting taped up on Raw and he's told he shouldn't compete, but Rikishi wants to get his hands on Eddie Guerrero tonight on Raw. The Grandmaster and Scotty leave Rikishi as they get prepared for their match against Steve Blackman and Al Snow. On Nitro, we've got Fit Finlay versus Vampiro. Al Snow says he knows why Too Cool's so over, it's because they can dance. So Al thinks Blackman should dance too, and he should wear yellow sunglasses because yellow is the colour of cheese. Blackman's anger levels begin to rise at a rapid rate and he's gonna lose it, guys. It's only a matter of time. Shin Blackman is nearly upon us. Al's also went through the trouble of getting new entrance music for Steve.
Motherfucking head cheese. Motherfucking head cheese.
But Blackman prefers his cold as ice music. The match gets underway with Al Snow taking a crossbody from Grandmaster Sexay, and after Steve gets sent to the outside, Scotty performs the worm. Not the best start for Blackman and Snow. The boys refocus and we see some good double team work. It's not enough to win the match though, and we then see the Radicals watching the match backstage. These lads are facing Too Cool in a 6-man tag this week at No Way Out. The Grandmaster takes a double suplex, Blackman performs the spine-shattering backbreaker, Grandmaster Sexay replies with a drop toe hold, and Scotty Too Hotty gets tagged in. The match breaks down, all 4 men are in the ring, and when Snow and Blackman gain control of the match, Blackman dances. He dances better than anyone I've ever seen dance before, and he captivates the audience with his sick moves. Unfortunately, this leads to Scotty getting a surprise win on Steve, and that means Too Cool win this tag team match. But who cares? The Motherfuck Dojo's now providing dance lessons every Friday night, so make sure you sign up. No country music though.
Motherfucking head cheese.
Finlay versus Vampiro is happening on Nitro then. Finlay tried to bully his opponent, but Vamp was having none of it. Fid invited Vampiro to chop him, Vamp politely obliged, but Vampiro missed a wheel kick and this allowed Finlay to use his cast as a weapon. A lot of folks with broken arms in WCW right now, isn't there? Should these guys really be competing if they've got broken limbs? Finlay stays in control on the outside. Vamp gets his neck drilled into a steel chair. Back in the ring, Fid pulls off a single leg crab, but after getting up, Vampiro pulls off a top rope wheel kick. The match ends when Vampiro dodges a corner charge and he manages to win with a schoolboy pin, but Finlay's a sore loser and he plants Vampiro with a tombstone piledriver after the bell. A nothing match here, which is a shame seeing as Vampiro's just coming off his short feud against Billy Kidman. We have got D'Lo and the Godfather versus Malenko and Saturn next on Raw. On Nitro, Booker takes on the Mamalukes. The Nitro match was supposed to be Booker versus Big Vito, but Disco offered Booker a shot at the tag team belts. He had to face the Mamalukes in a 2-on-1 match though. Booker was doing just fine at the opening bell, but Disco gave the Mamalukes some help from the outside. This allowed Vito to take control back in the ring, but in no time at all, Booker was firing up again. He tried to get some fast-paced offense going, but Johnny the Bull botched the bookend and Booker was like, oh well, who cares. When Disco interfered again, the referee calls for the bell. Disco, Johnny and Vito lay the boots into Booker, but then the Harris brothers run down to beat everyone up. At least they didn't get involved during the actual match, but still, I've already seen these two baldy bastards one too many times tonight. Backstage, Stevie Ray says this is what happens when you've got no backup. Booker pretty much deserved what happened to him. The camera then pans out as Jay Biggs goes to shake Big T's hand and oh my god, Christ on a bike, what in the name of bad fashion sense is going on here? And look at Big Cassius, why is he standing like that? What a giant dickhead. Stevie Ray says Booker knows who this guy is. He's from Booker's past apparently, but between the way Cassius stands and the way Ahmed dresses, I'm starting to think Stevie Ray might be a bit clueless when it comes to choosing his new friends. Terry Funk's not happy with how the Harris brothers are interfering in matches tonight, so he and Dustin Rhodes are going to teach Ron and Dawn a lesson in respect later on Nitro. Terry says Dustin's way tougher than his dad Dusty ever was, and I don't think Dustin agreed with this sentiment at all. On Raw, the Radicals were thankfully able to get a win under their belts when they defeated the Godfather and D'Lo. It wasn't looking so good at first though, and Dino Machino found himself almost taking a whole train, but thankfully Saturn was able to tackle the Godfather and the match continued on. Malenko still struggled when fighting Godfather, and D'Lo was also able to get the better of Dean, but an elbow drop from Saturn allowed Perry to pick up the win, even though no tag was made and Perry wasn't the legal man. The Hardyz team up with Edge and Christian to take on the Outlaws and the Dudley Boys. On Nitro, we've got the Artist versus La Parka. Already, I'm thinking there's been too many tag matches on Raw tonight. 4 tag matches so far, including this one without a single one-on-one encounter. Maybe they want to showcase as many guys as possible because they're in the Georgia Dome, who knows. The Outlaws and the Dudleyz had some words backstage before their match. Remember, these two teams are going to square off at No Way Out. And B.A. Billy Gunn got in a cheap shot on Christian to get this 8-man tag underway. Christian's on his game tonight though as he counters an Outlaws double team move and he drops Billy with an inverted DDT. Matt and Devon then take over with the babyfaces staying in control, and Jeff comes in for some poetry in motion. I've never stopped to say how popular the Hardy Boys are right now in the WWF, so the Hardy Boys are popular right now in the WWF. Road Dogg makes sure Jeff doesn't take to the skies while Billy and Bubba work together to drop Jeff on the security barrier. This allows Rhodey to take over back inside the ring and Jeff needs to tag out. Billy comes in as Jeff slides out of the ring, and you can see here how much of the Georgia Dome's been tarped off for this show. Reportedly, we've got 27,500 in attendance tonight, whereas the WWF drew 33,500 last year in the same venue. Jeff continues to get singled out, though he gets a break after a double DDT to the New Age Outlaws. Edge gets the red hot tag and the heels get wiped out before the match breaks down. Everyone gets in the ring for a big old brawl. Things clear out a little as Billy performs a jackhammer while Matt performs a moonsault to the outside. Christian then hits his own tag partner with a crossbody though, and this leaves Edge all alone to take a famouser. But then the Dudleyz turn on the Outlaws when Bubba hits Billy with a steel chair. Jeff delivers a swanton bomb to BA, and look at this. Christian pulls Jeff out, the referee still counts to 3. There's a bit of confusion as to what's going on, but Hebner ends up awarding the match to the babyfaces because apparently that 3 count was totally fine. Hebner's hand hit the mat for the 3rd time when no one was covering Billy at all. A decent match ruined by a bad call from the referee, but the story here is that none of these teams are getting along right now. Earlier on, Medusa got annoyed because her name wasn't on the match card tonight, so she had a quick word with La Parka. Oklahoma wanted to watch this match featuring La Parka and the artist formerly known as Prince Ikea, but La Parka came out and yeah, he's grown a pair of boobs. I wonder how he did that.
That's going to be a good little piece of business.
Oklahoma knows there's something up here. He gets in the ring, he takes the mask off, and oh my goodness, it's Medusa. Medusa attacks Oklahoma before the real La Parka shows up. Oklahoma takes a chair shot and the artist decides to pick the chair up so La Parka can take a shot too. This gets followed up with the artist performing his diving DDT and Ikea wins via pinfall. I'm totally convinced that this beard was painted on, by the way. I mean, look at that fade. Prince Ikea could never grow something like that. Would you believe that we've got another tag team match on Raw next? The Acolytes and Mark Henry take on Viscera and the Holly Cousins. On Nitro, Terry Funk and Dustin Rhodes take on the Harris Brothers. Mae Young destroyed the APA during a card game on SmackDown, and Mae also availed from the Acolytes protection services after getting knocked down by Crash Holly. So that's why we've got this tag team match. The heel team stayed in control early on with Hardcore and Viscera doing the most damage, but after Bradshaw pulled off a top rope fallaway slam, that was pretty much all she wrote. Crash takes a double powerbomb from the Acolytes and check out Farouk's cover, all in a day's work for Big Ron Simmons. The APA head back up the ramp, Mae Young then shows up. Mae gets a few boots into Crash, but this was a bad move, because the near 80-year-old pregnant Mae takes a clothesline from Hardcore Holly, followed by a big splash from Viscera. This is going to lead to a Viscera vs Mark Henry match taking place at No Way Out. Mae gets loaded into an ambulance backstage before Raw moves on, so let's check out the Nitro tag team match. Before the match begins, Ric Flair and his new best bud Lex Luger try to cut a promo, but it looks like the production crew didn't want to hear it.
Show package, Hogan! Understand it!
Tony Schiavone says the WCW committee have verified Jarrett's little document and Kevin Nash did indeed sign that letter. Sid vs Double J is going to happen, but no date's been set for that particular encounter. This whole match was built around Terry Funk trying to tag out. The Harris brothers beat him down pretty badly and Terry was unable to get to his corner. Jeff Jarrett joined the commentary table where he called this version of the NWO his version, and in my opinion, Jarrett's NWO totally blows. No Bret Hart, no Scott Hall, no Kevin Nash, even Scotty Steiner's gone right now. Dustin gets knocked off the apron, and when Terry's able to tag out, his partner isn't there to enter the match. Double J sees this as the perfect opportunity to swing his guitar, but world champion Sid Vicious shows up and Double J thinks twice. Instead, Jeff hits a staff member at ringside before Sid chases him back up the ramp, and we see Jarrett escape in his car as the big man continues to chase him down. Back in the ring, Dustin turns on Terry Funk. No idea why, but Terry takes a DDT and the referee calls for the bell. The beatdown continues with Terry getting his head smashed into a chair. He then takes another DDT on the chair followed by a shot right to the head. Officials have to pull Dustin away from the Dirty Funker before he does some serious damage. It's a heel turn that no one asked for really, but I guess the heel roster's diminished greatly over the past few weeks in WCW, so maybe it was necessary. Dog shit match though, can't say I enjoyed this one. Dustin continues beating Terry up outside the building. Whatever's wrong with Dustin, it's sure driving him to be an absolute dickhead. And look, he even hijacks the ambulance and he goes off driving into the night. Hey, singles matches on Raw. Tazz versus Chris Benoit and an injured Eddie Guerrero versus a kayfabe injured Rikishi. On Nitro, we've got promos from Big Sid Vicious and Ric Flair. The Test and Benoit match was extremely fast paced. It's almost like Test was determined to keep up with Benoit, and he did just that. For the size of Test, he had no issues at all here. Benoit chopped Test so hard that his chest started turning dark red. Test pulled off his gut-wrench powerbomb, but Chris kicked out at 2. Malenko and Saturn watched backstage as Chris pulled off 2 consecutive German suplexes, but Test comes back with an atomic drop and a big boot. Benoit gets up, he lays in more chops. Eddie Guerrero's then seen on the outside, and when Test goes for a pump-handle slam, Eddie helps his radical teammate down to the mat. Test gets whacked with Guerrero's lead pipe, he then takes a back suplex, and our match ends with a diving headbutt from Chris Benoit. A very short match here, but very intense from bell to bell, and when it comes to in-ring work, this is where Chris Benoit excels. Eddie came back out for his match against Rikishi, and seeing as Eddie's still banged up, there was no way this was going to be a standard pro wrestling match. Eddie wonders if Rikishi put too much weight on his ankle, or maybe Big Quiche hurt himself dancing. Whatever the case, this is a no DQ match, and Eddie wants to show Rikishi some new dance moves. Rikishi whacks Eddie with his crutch, Guerrero goes down right away. The big man then pulls Eddie over for a banzai drop, and Eddie loses his first singles match in the WWF in record time. It's that old WWF pettiness raising its ugly head again, and this match benefited no one. The Radicals run down to give Rikishi a beating. This doesn't last long, seeing as Too Cool run down armed with their very own crutches. Again, these 6 men are going to face off in a tag team match at No Way Out, but here on Raw, the Radicals look like they were absolutely no match for Too Cool and Rikishi. That injury Rikishi's got doesn't look too good, but he dances in the ring following the beatdown. And then we see the DX Express again. DX have promised that someone's going to take a ride on the Express tonight, but we'll see about that a bit later on. So, Sid was able to retain his title at SuperBrawl, but now Double J's looking a one-on-one match. Sid says Jarrett's making a big mistake, but he agrees to give Double J his title match at Uncensored. Double J may be smart, he may keep Sid on his toes, but Jarrett is not the master of the master, and he's not the master of the world. Sid says he's going to see Jeff Jarrett in hell, and hell arrives on Earth at Uncensored 2000. The way WCW pay-per-views have been lately, I don't doubt the big man for a single moment, but that's our main event set for the next pay-per-view. Jeff Jarrett continues to dominate the main event scene, and I know opinions on this are still split to this very day. It's like I explained earlier though, too many injuries right now in WCW and the company haven't bothered to build anyone else up. Those who could have got built up left the company to fight Too Cool and Rikishi on Raw. It's why the company's once again leaning on guys like Flair and Hogan, and you're gonna see very soon how catastrophic things are when they do decide to push young talent to the point where they get wins over the likes of Flair and Hogan. It doesn't go down well. Speaking of Slick Rick, the Nature Boy commends Dustin Rhodes for what he did to Terry Funk. Hopefully Hulk Hogan paid attention because Rhodes just made himself a main player and Rick calls Dustin a real pro wrestler. Almost like saying everything Dustin Rhodes done up until this point was totally worthless. Hulkamania will not run wild tonight. The total package is going to destroy Hogan inside the steel cage. That match is coming up soon, but we've got another few matches to get through before the big main event. Cactus Jack gets interviewed by Michael Cole backstage and Foley cuts a great promo here. Cactus doesn't care if he takes a ride on the DX Express tonight, he's more concerned about the look on Triple H's face come No Way Out this Sunday. Mick orders Michael Cole to lay down on the floor. He wonders if he's intimidating Michael and if Michael's scared. Cole says, "Yeah, I just pissed myself." And Mick wonders how Triple H is going to feel when Mick stands over the game like this, only Foley's going to be looking down at the WWF champion while standing on top of the Hell in a Cell. Mick wants to jump off the cage. He wants to do some serious damage to his opponent this week. He's thought about that look on Triple H's face more than winning the WWF title, but Mick simply can't afford to lose this week. He'll lose his career if he can't beat the game. So even if it means going into WrestleMania 2000 while using a walker, Mick will jump off Hell in a Cell and he will become WWF champion this week at No Way Out. Triple H, meanwhile, is outside getting the DX Express ready. He says the Outlaws aren't here anymore, seeing as they've went after the Dudley boys, but Hunter, X-Pac and the Big Show have everything under control. Next on Raw, we've got Tazz versus the Big Boss Man. On Nitro, we've got that Buff Bagwell and Maestro match. Tazz brings the Boss Man down, and his punches here don't look good at all. Reportedly, Vince McMahon had already begun to sour on Tazz, and I'm sure things like this didn't help. The two head outside where Bossman launches the ring steps at his opponent, but he misses his target. Though back in the ring, Tazz takes a corner splash. Bossman is not going to beat the robot suplex machine tonight though. He takes a clothesline before Tazz goes for the Tazz mission. Bossman's able to grab his nightstick and Tazz takes a few shots while locked in the hold. And when Tazz doesn't let go, Prince Albert runs down to give his buddy some help. I thought the relationship between Bossman and Albert was already over, to be honest. Tazz gets beaten down. Albert performs a fireman's carry neckbreaker. We will see Tazz versus Bossman again at the pay-per-view, but don't get your hopes up. The match is kinda crap. Buff Bagwell says everyone's taking things out of context and he's implying he wasn't trying to get with Symphony, even though there was actual video evidence shown on live TV. Still, he's going to show everyone why he's buff, why he's got this stuff, and why the girls can't get enough, except for Symphony. After pulling off a neckbreaker and a Vader bomb, Buff goes out to creep all over Symphony, and look at the insanely bad timing here from the Maestro. It looked like he could have easily stopped in his tracks, but he just kept running at his girlfriend. No harm done though, Ken Shamrock's sister is totally fine. Maestro gets all heated back in the ring, but the match gets interrupted by Ernest Miller. Remember, Miller and the Maestro had a bet at SuperBrawl. If Miller brought James Brown to the show, then Maestro would have to listen to only the Cat's choice of music. Buff hits the blockbuster for the win, and after the match, Miller lets the Maestro hear his new entrance song, a rap song that makes the Maestro lose his mind, and a song that's also been removed from the network version of Nitro. And the Maestro gets his new music stopped by attacking the referee. Makes perfect sense. There's a shoot interview on YouTube, by the way, from the Great WSI channel where Buff talked about this very match. Originally, Maestro was supposed to win, but Bagwell complained to the office and the finish got changed. Buff didn't think much of the Maestro at all, and he had some pretty harsh words for him, though do keep in mind too that this particular interview was recorded when Buff was in a pretty bad place. Oh yeah, I should mention this. On WCW Saturday Night, it was revealed that Jim Duggan found the WCW TV title in a trash can and he's named himself the new TV champion. He defeated Robert Gibson to retain his title. I'm blown away by the fact that Robert Gibson was hired by WCW in the year 2000. And Steve Regal then challenged Hacksaw to a match on the following episode of Saturday Night. If Regal can't win, then he'll quit WCW forever. Before we look at our main events, WCW presented one more match, another confrontation featuring Bam Bam Bigelow and The Wall. This one wasn't competed under hardcore rules and the match benefited from that fact too. Though the outcome was very predictable, seeing as Shivani and Madden did nothing but talk about how much The Wall's improved over the past month or so and how great this guy is, even though I really don't see it. I mean, yeah, he's a big dude and all, but he's also an absolute charisma vacuum of the highest order. A super chokeslam put Bigelow away, The Wall wins clean. The commentators continue to put the big man over and it really did feel incredibly forced. Ric Flair's then seen talking to David Flair and Arn Anderson. David, strangely, is not acting so mentally unstable this week as his old man bangs on about ending Hulkamania and how the total package is going to stop Hogan once and for all. No idea what Flair's actually getting at here, but he tells David he'll do whatever he tells him to do, and he says the enforcer belongs to the Nature Boy. I think Rick wants David and Arn to get behind Lex tonight, but neither of these boys really care. Meanwhile, Hogan cuts a promo where Mean Gene informs him that this is going to be a last man standing cage match. This just means that the first one to leave the cage wins, by the way. And Hogan says it felt good to hit Luger with his arm cast last night, and he thanks Sting for showing up when things got a bit hairy after the bell. Tonight, Hogan's going to be all on his own though, with no Jimmy Hart and no Sting, and Lex is in a world of trouble, all that stuff. Team Package then bump into Jimmy Hart as the Mouth of the South was trying to steal some popcorn. Jimmy gets beaten up and he gets dragged to ringside for the Nitro main event. The Total Package versus Hulk Hogan inside a steel cage. On Raw, Triple H, X-Pac and the Big Show take on Kane, The Rock and Cactus Jack. Hogan runs down to save his best buddy Jimmy Hart, and the Hulkster has to take on both Lex and Flair on the outside. He uses a chair to get the upper hand, and he even shakes off a low blow from Slick Rick because, well, Hogan has no balls. But it doesn't take long for the heels to gain control, and it's Hogan who takes a chair shot. Doug Dillinger and his brilliant security team escort Flair back up the ramp, and the match begins with Lex laying in a few boots. Hulk Hogan starts no-selling. Luger gets his head smacked off the top turnbuckle a few times. Hogan lands a few clotheslines, and the Hulkster chokes his opponent out with his t-shirt. The crowd audio's been tampered with here. The volume's been lowered down because I guess they're chanting something unsavory at Lex. But we do hear some Hogan chants coming through as Luger's head gets bounced off Hulk's arm cast and Lex goes down after another clothesline. Moments later we see another clothesline, so we're getting a lot of variety here, folks. Lex fights back. He rams Hogan's face into the cage. He follows up with a double axe handle and he then drops a few elbows on wood from the hood. After doing a bit more damage, Lex fluffs his hair up a little cause you gotta look good in the Nitro main event. He lands 2 consecutive low blows as Mark Madden calls Package a genetic freak. Yeah, someone watching at home just threw their beer at the TV. And here we go, Lex signals for the torture rack. Hogan gets put and Luger's finishing hold. The Total Package has it won. That's what we would be saying if we hadn't watched every single Hogan match of the Monday Night War so far, because there it is, brothers, the glorious no-sell from Hulk Hogan. Hogan hulks up, we see the big boot, we see the leg drop. Hogan goes to leave the cage, but here comes Ric Flair to stop the Hulkster in his tracks. Hogan no-sells Flair's offense, the Nature Boy gets taken out and he too takes a big boot and a big leg drop. And for some reason, Hulk Hogan tries to cover Flair. What are you doing? Eventually, Flair and Lex team up only to take a double clothesline. So Package grabs his trusty steel chair and Hogan gets taken out. It's at this very moment you expect Sting to show up, but he's not here tonight. So Flair takes Hogan's weight belt, the Hulkster gets whipped like a dog, and when Doug Dillinger gets in the ring, Lex decides to break his arm with another chair stomp. Probably the best thing about this whole match, if I'm totally honest. Team Package destroys Hogan, no one leaves the cage, so we don't have a winner, and Nitro fades out for another week. Over on Raw, they do that old trick again where The Rock comes out last when the fight's already underway. It gets a pop every time. We're brawling all over the place here, and remember, everyone in this match is competing against one another at No Way Out. X-Pac versus Kane, Rock versus Big Show, and Cactus Jack versus Triple H. When things settle down, we get Kane in the ring taking out both Triple H and X-Pac. The Big Red Machine delivers a corner clothesline to Triple H, and look at the crowd, everyone's on their feet. Kane shows his power with a big sidewalk slam. Hunter finds himself in the wrong corner and the champ takes a few punches. In comes Rocky for a big clothesline, and when Triple H goes for a pedigree, the Great One counters with a catapult. Cactus Jack wants in. He wants to get his hands on Hunter before the cell match, so in comes Foley punching and biting his opponent. A facebreaker knee smash allows the WWF champion to tag out, but X-Pac fares no better when Mick takes him down to the mat. On the outside, Foley launches X-Pac into Triple H, but it doesn't take long for the Big Show to help out his partners. It's a bit comical how Earl Hebner doesn't allow Rock or Kane to help their partner while Mick gets his ass kicked. Some real poor officiating tonight from our senior referee. Familiar territory once again as Cactus gets singled out as we build up towards a hot tag, but in the meantime, Big Show delivers a sidewalk slam. A missed elbow drop allows Foley to tag in Rock, and the People's Champ brings Show to the mat after a shot to the back of the head. The smack gets thoroughly laid down as Rock takes out X-Pac and Triple H with ease. And check it out, a spine buster to the Big Show, something that impresses the shit out of Jim Ross. Unfortunately, there's no People's Elbow here as Triple H gets Rock out of the ring for a bump at the ring steps. The crowd's chanting Rock's name as the Great One finds himself in a bit of trouble, but he launches the game from the top rope and it's time for another hot tag. It's Mick Foley who comes back in, and Foley does pretty well taking care of all three of his opponents, and X-Pac has to save Triple H after the champ takes a double arm DDT. Mick goes under the apron, he finds a fire extinguisher which he unfortunately can't use thanks to the Big Show. Kane saves Mick from taking a chokeslam by delivering his diving clothesline, but when the match breaks down again, Triple H knocks Foley out with that fire extinguisher. The cameras missed the impact, but we do see it in a replay. Triple H wins via pinfall, but Raw isn't over yet. The Rock's beating the hell out of the Big Show at the side of the entranceway, and soon everyone runs up for a big old fight. We have got a war as every competitor gets in on the action, and even Stephanie tries her luck with a trash can shot, a shot that didn't affect Mick Foley at all. Eventually, Hunter, Stephanie and Tori run away, but Cactus gives chase. DX are heading back to their bus and they do manage to get in before Foley catches them. Mick, however, decides to smash the windscreen just before the DX Express drives off. And to see what happens next, we're going to have to watch No Way Out this Sunday. Raw wins Reliving the War this week, and it was really because of the main event. The amount of tag team matches on Raw was a bit annoying, and don't get me wrong, I do enjoy tag team wrestling quite a lot, but I'd still prefer to see more singles matches than tag matches. The main event was good, and it does make you look forward to the pay-per-view, so Raw wins it even if this was their weakest show inside the Georgia Dome so far. Nitro felt a bit run-of-the-mill, a typical Nitro for this particular era, meaning it kinda felt like a waste of time. I did enjoy last week's Nitro more than I expected to, but this week, even with Hogan and Flair back, it just felt like another replay. Raw's got 124 points, Nitro's got 78, and we've got 22 ties. In the TV ratings, Raw got a 5.9, Nitro got a 2.8. We're stepping back inside Hell in a Cell on Sunday for No Way Out. Cactus Jack vs Triple H is our main event, and after their Rumble match a few weeks ago, there's no way this one's gonna disappoint. The Rock faces Big Show to see who's facing the WWF Champion at WrestleMania 2000. Kurt Angle gets a shot at Chris Jericho's Intercontinental Championship, and Kane plans on getting revenge when he faces X-Pac in a no-holds-barred match. Loads to look forward to in this pay-per-view, so join me on Sunday for the show, or you can be a true soldier by checking it out early on Patreon along with Reliving the War episode 225. Thank you very much for watching, have a fantastic weekend, and please take care.